David.
One question.
Yes, sir.
What are the, you know me and taxes, right?
Yes.
So what are the tax ramifications for a couple that does a living trust? Benefits, cons, pros, cons?
My knowledge of how community property works has made a mammoth difference in my clients. See if I can say this real quickly. In most states in the United States, we follow British common law, which means it's what they call separate property. So if you're married, his half and her half. So when one passes away, let's always pick on the guy, so the guy dies, and the property is now in his half is inherited by the wife. Okay, she gets what's called a stepped up basis. The basis in tax terms means what something is worth at the time you acquire it. So let's say that, in fact, the example I always use, I know a CPA down in Los Gatos. He and his wife bought this property for $60,000 back in the 60s. It's now worth, last time I heard, $1.6 million or something like that. When they bought it, it was $60,000. His half was $30,000. Her half was $30,000. What did I say, 1.6? Okay, so half of that's $800,000. Okay, so in this scenario, if they held it as a lot of people hold their property as joint tenants, okay, if that's the way they held it, when he died, his half, $800,000, now went to her. So if she sold it, when she sold his half, she got it for $800, sold it for $800, made no profit, paid no taxes. On her half, she paid $30,000, and she's getting $800,000. She would get a $250,000 exemption, but she would pay income tax, capital gains, on the rest of it. Big tax bill on her half. Now, what happened in the United States is there's a whole bunch of, let's see, I go back through the whole history. There was this guy named Muhammad, and he went all over the world, the known world, conquering these nations. And he basically would hold a knife to their throat and said, "You will convert, right? If you didn't, off they'd go," right? And one of the philosophies that Muhammad had, that for a man to succeed, his wife must be his partner. If she's not his partner, he won't succeed. So he looked at success as being the result of a partnership.
Isn't that still true?
Okay. Well, but see, the idea in the separate property state is it's the man's world. The man goes out and does it. The wife doesn't count. That's the way it is in separate property state. But in the community property state, they said, no, it's together. That's what happens. So what happened was they discovered gold here, and the people from back east came out here and said, what in the world's going on out here? They have these weird rules. What are we going to do? And they wrestled with it, and finally they said, oh, heck, anything that's in place, we're going to go ahead and accept that that's the way it is. But anything that's not addressed, from now on, we're going to use British common law like you're supposed to. That was the solution here. In Oregon, they said, those foreign rules, we aren't going to follow those. We're going to do it like you do back east. So out of the 11 states that used to be Spanish territory, there's only one that's a separate property state. And it's the poorest one, by the way.
California?
No. Oregon. They're sending all their money back. They love Washington, D.C. Send all their money back east. It's amazing. Okay. So here in California, we have community property state. Now, how does that work? So let's take the couple down in San Jose again. They bought this property for $60,000, and they decided to hold it as community property. He dies. What happens? Okay, in a separate property meant his half went up, hers didn't. I don't know why the IRS rules this way, but what they say is, we don't know what to do, because it's like this, it's not like this. So, well, I guess we'll have to give the whole thing a stepped-up basis. say paid 60, one person dies, the whole thing gets a property stepped up basis, 1.6 million.
That was wrong.
She said, no, it was before that. She sells the property. She basically, her new basis is 1.6. She sells it for 1.6. No taxes. Zero taxes. Okay? So it's that and this applies to everything. This applies to your investments, stocks, bonds, paintings on the wall, that art thing that you bought from some, beginning artist for, $400 is now worth $10,000. It applies to everything. It applies to everything that you make community property. Okay? So when people buy something or open a bank account or anything like that and put it in joint tenancy, what they're doing, don't realize they're doing this, but what they're doing is they're stepping out of the community property system. They are deliberately walking away from that. If they didn't say anything, like Jerry and I own this property, we're married. Jerry and I opened this, in this example, her husband might object to that, but my wife definitely would object to that. Okay, so Jerry and I are
one of the 3 marriages.
Yeah, no, I'm working on number 4. So Jerry and I are married, and if we just say this belongs to Jerry and me, it belongs to me. Yeah, Jerry and me, and I don't say anything. I don't even have to say community property. I just say the 2 of us own it. It's the automatic is community property. If we said we own it as joint tenants, what we're doing is we're opting out of community property. So that's the thing that makes the biggest tax difference. And it's just knowing how it works. And it's amazing. People don't know how it works. I sat out in the parking lot in Hayward one day, and it took me an hour and 15 minutes talking to this guy who was a CPA, had been practicing in Marin County for 25 years, and I didn't know how to explain it before that so well back then. And it took me an hour and 15 minutes before I saw the light bulb go on. The light bulb went on. He says, "Oh my gosh!"
I know the answer. He had 1 year experience 25 times.
Oh, it could have been. So that's the biggest difference. It's just understanding
Second
that.
benefit too, that step up goes to the heirs.
Oh yeah, same thing happens if they both die. The heirs get the stepped up basis. But here's the thing, it goes to the spouse too. It's astounding. It's a blessing. Now it's so much of a good deal that, get this, Wisconsin changed from a separate property state to a community property state.
So what words do you want it to say for the husband and wife?
Either community property or say nothing. Just say your name. Frank and Linda. That's all you have to say. I don't know what your wife's name is, but
So the joint property is the bad one?
if you say joint tenancy, then you're going into the system of his half and her half.
Oh,
You are opting out of community property.
California, as far as I know, my wife told me was hers is hers and what's mine is hers. It's her community.
That's in your house, not in California.
But you want a trust, so you don't want your title that way at all. You want it into the trust.
Ours are all.
That's true. But when we put things in, the way we put things into the basket, we put it in as community property. So we make it very clear that all this stuff is community property. Okay? Another question?
Good dress rehearsal and start filming.
Okay.
No, it was very informative.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming. And I feel blessed that you took your time out of your day, and I hope it proves worthwhile for you. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.